Record by a guy called Bob Chance, Californian, made in 1980, total weird out there record. Pressed it himself. It's kind of a mix between post-disco, Glenn Campbell, and it says on the back he sounds a bit like a serial killer, which is also true. It's totally out there.
Who's put this out? Is this
Label called Trunk Records, who are renowned for putting out like really crazy out there stuff. But the weird thing about it is it's totally out there, but it's also really accessible. Like the disco is straight up disco, but with him just talking about really weird everyday stuff. Someone's described it as kind of like, it says on the back, curry house DIY. So it's really quite strange. I mean, just check out these pictures. Dude is like chilling, lying down. It's a great record. Yeah, I can't stop listening to it.
This year, one of this year's best albums, Lower Dens, New Tropics. Yana Hunter, who is basically lead lady of Lower Dens, been a fan of hers for a while, but this is like her sound as a band is like a whole new expansive thing. It's not the first album, the second album, but
is there much of a difference between this and their
yeah, like her stuff's like sparser, harder. This is more kind of motoric, more kind of hypnotic, more beaty as well, but they do more stripped back stuff as well, so it's kind of got both things going on. But I just really love the kind of groove they get into on the album, and you kind of get carried through it, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a whole journey of an album, and I really love albums like that. I think that kind of carry you all the way through, where they're more about atmosphere and feeling and kind of rather than just individual songs. Or I guess that's kind of the mood I'm in this year, is kind of stuff like this. So that, and in a similar kind of vein, Here We Go Magic album from this year, which is a particular favourite of mine. I've been a massive fan of the band for ages, but I think they've really come into their own on this album. They kind of follow the same sort of groove as the Lower End sound, the kind of a bit of kraut and a bit of a kind of spacey grooves and kind of, but it is proper songwriting as well. So I love the fact that they can, yeah, like you say, create a real ambient groove, but yeah, are perfectly capable of like getting everyone's head nodding and feet stomping and stuff at the same time. So yeah, they are kind of similar in that sense, I guess. And I think the bands are friends, and it kind of, you know, part of a whole, sound at the moment. But
okay, my first thing is this Thing of Beauty, the Creedence Clearwater, and it's a 7-inch box set. So yeah, it's just a load of Creedence, but it's really nicely put together, and it's just, you realise how many great tracks that they had. Yeah, it's nice to have them all on 7-inch, because I'm sure it would cost a lot of money to get them all together, like as originals. But yeah, I've been rocking it.
What label's this on?
Well, it comes through a distributor called Ace, and it's on Fantasy Records, but Ace do a lot of reissues. They're a label themselves as well, and yeah, anything from soul, blues, like classic stuff as well. They're just a great label.
First one I've got is the Quakers CD. I don't know if you've heard about that. It's Jeff Barrow from Portishead. Decided he wanted to make a real old school sounding hip hop album, and to start with, I'll be honest, I was a little bit dubious, because I like a lot of hip hop, and I thought, what's he going to bring to it which hasn't already been done at the time he's trying to recreate? But it's actually really awesome. There's loads of really raw, really well chosen loops and beats on there, and a selection of some of my favourite rappers. I'm really into the stone's throw kind of scene of hip hop, and so you've got like MED, Frank Nitti, who I absolutely love, and like Guilty Simpson, who for me is like the best MC around at the minute. It's just a real complete tour de force of like storming beats. I was really impressed by it. I'd put it along the same lines as things that Madlib is still doing now. You know, he's like my ultimate, but I'd put it coming up to there.
Like a band, or is it really
It's just the name he's given the project. One thing I really admired about it was he used MySpace to get in touch with lots of MCs who haven't got, deals or distributions. Good, one guy with a real broad West Country accent, which didn't expect to enjoy, but he's got a really good flow. He's really chosen the MCs well and put them some amazing beats. Just really, I wouldn't even say underground, just people who have their MySpace pages and do it from there.
One thing I'm recommending is actually up here, the Witch box set. Got bought it for my birthday by my girlfriend. Very generous of her, because I got it on vinyl, which is a little bit more expensive than that, quite a lot actually. But it's really good. It's a complete discography of the 70s Zambian rock band Witch, sort of one of the biggest bands in Zambia, but very little was known about them because they never really made it out there. Sort of good mixture of garage rock, funk fuzz, psychedelic and afro. In time they've remastered the whole lot. It's on a Stones Throw offshoot called Now Again, who specialise in obscure recordings, mainly soul, and they find the original recording artists and they'll remaster the whole back catalogue from usually the original tapes. It's just it's an amazing set of recordings. At the time they were one of the biggest bands in Zambia. They toured a lot within their country, but they never really sort of broke out after the collapse of the country when I think it was copper mining was the main sort of thing that kept Zambia afloat, and when that sort of the price dropped, the whole country sort of collapsed a bit, and they didn't have the cash behind them to sort of go off and tour and become internationally renowned. But I think they're just as deserving as any sort of Afro rock bands of some attention. They could have been as big as Fela Kuti, but it's just they didn't get the opportunities. It's heavily indebted to sort of Rolling Stones and James Brown for the early parts, because it's like almost garage rock sound, and then it gets a bit more psychedelic, and then the last two albums they sort of went for almost straight up Afro rock sort of sound with it. I think the best album so far out of the set that I've heard is I think it's called Lukmo Vibes. That's the one I've enjoyed the most. That's the more traditional Afro rock sounding of the set, but a lot of people say the third album, but it's an amazing set. It's well worth getting. Anyone's got an interest in African music and even sort of garage rock for that matter should check it out, because it's going to appeal to both basically.
This year's big party album for me, and the one that makes me really happy, bouncy, smile on my face the whole time, and also every time we put it on the stereo in the shop just makes the whole shop bounce. Django album, guaranteed deck seller every time we put it on, and it just creates the most amazing atmosphere in here and really buzzy. Saw them live at the Great Escape, thought they were absolutely awesome.
Can you describe their sound?
Yeah, I mean they're part kind of beta bandy, and one of them is brother of one of beta bands, so they've got kind of that kind of sound going on. They're really poppy. They are really poppy, there's no escaping that, but they are also quite psychedelic and quite beaty, and I really love what they're doing right now, and they've kind of caught a moment, I think, of like just something a bit more uplifting and a bit more exciting, but it is relatively adventurous as well. It's not too contained and not too run-of-the-mill, too mainstream.
My second one is Plankton Watt, who's this guy, Dewey Mahood of Eternal Tapestry, who are like an awesome kind of psych, stoner rocky kind of band. This album's not so kind of intense, it's a bit more shows off the subtleties kind of thing that he as a musician can do, but it's definitely got that psych edge to it, and it's on Thrill Jockey, which for me at the moment are one of the best record labels around. They're just doing great stuff, from this kind of psychedelic kind of thing to more ambient kind of guitar soundscape stuff, and some singer-songwriters as well. A guy called Luke Roberts, which came out this year as well, on the same label, and yeah, they've just been absolutely consistent this year. And
about that John Porras.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and the Barn Owl. There's a new Eternal Tapestry 12 coming out, I think, as well, and it's just some great stuff.
And this is a new 7-inch from my new favourite band, probably Hookworms. They're from Leeds. This kind of really sprawling krautrock, psychedelic, heavy. They played here at the weekend, like strobe lights and clearly massive stoners. Yeah, really intense, but I imagine there's a lot of buzz around them at the moment. I think they're going to be pretty big, so definitely one to watch. Hookworms. This is on Gringo Records, so it's a small DIY label, but yeah, really good.
This is, I think, my favourite album that's come out this year so far. It's Sun Aurora with M. Geddes meeting the old dub band the Congos, and they went to their kind of compound in Jamaica and recorded an album. It's on the Furquays label. I'm never sure how you pronounce it. It's they join old artists with new artists to make something completely fresh, where they feel they've got bits which can add to each other's sound. And so it's these amazing 4-part harmonies and kind of simple guitar lines from the Congos mixed with this strange electronic pop element. And the reason I love it so much is it doesn't sound like any music I've ever heard before, but not in a alienating or abrasive way. It's like pop music, but something which has never been, to my ears, never been attempted before in that way. And it's a very very expansive record. It's quite busy. There's a lot going on to take in the background of the mix, but it doesn't feel cluttered in any way. It still feels like a very spacious album that you can focus in on the very intricate details, or just let the whole thing kind of swallow you up in a nice, it's just wave of kind of colourful vibes.
So is it like an expansive psychedelic-y thing, or is it a rootsy?
It's hard to say. That's the thing. It's kind of like the middle ground between the both that you never would have thought existed till you heard it. It's still got strong elements of, really strong roots reggae harmonies to the vocal, but then they haven't provided any of the musical support you're expecting to hear to that. So the clash of that works in a way. I think it works amazingly. I can't rate it enough or listen to it enough. It's amazing.